Greetings, Miracle in Motion. This is my very first live in English, so I'm a bit hesitant, a bit nervous, but I'm also very excited, and that's a very good mixture. When we are slightly afraid and excited at the same time, that's a perfect sign that it is something we should go on and do. And I never planned these lives beforehand because I am of the deepest impression, slightly hesitant, but still deeply convinced that I know exactly what to say when I open up to these lives. And it's important to say at the beginning that whatever I propose is, of course, my own interpretation of the mystery and answers I get from what I call the mystery, which is nature, earth, Gaia Sophia, or whatever. And what is important in these times, these are confusing, tumultuous, and at the same time extraordinary and marvelous times for humanity. And it is your truth that needs to be expressed in this time. And the resonance is of utmost importance. And there are so many stories now. There are so many stories. Stories abound. And in the news or on the internet, on social media, there are so many stories we are told to believe and to accept. And I want to remind you that stories only live through our believing in them. So if we don't believe a story, it doesn't exist because it doesn't have any sustenance. It has nothing to sustain it. And we usually know the difference between fairy tales, but there are many stories now that we are actually invited to believe them, but we have the choice not to. And why do I call this live listening from the north? It could be messages from the north or whatever, but it is about listening, because that is getting more and more important now, to listen. And it's from the north because I was born and raised in Sweden, produced in Sweden, and born in Sweden. And Sweden, here, a warm good evening. Yes, in Sweden it's pretty cold outside, but it's warm inside. Thank you. Because we need to listen. It's about listening. And what should we listen to? Well, not the news, as my suggestion, but listen to our own hearts. Listen to your truth. Listen to the whispers. Listen to nature, because nature is a living goddess of wisdom. And since I was a kid, I've been crawling around in nature. And nature is always true. A birch is a birch. A squirrel is a squirrel, because nature doesn't have the ability to pretend or wear masks or whatever. And I did a really cool meditation some time ago. I was in my little cabin, and there I have a antler from an elk. It's just one, because they lose them at certain times of the year. And in this meditative state, I put my hand on this antler, and I somehow connected with the energy of the moose or the elk. And I felt this total purity. There's no hesitation. An elk is an elk. There's no hesitation. What should I do tomorrow? Why should I do? Should I go this way, that way? How should I behave? what should I do to get likes? What should I do to get approval? What should I do to be seen and confirmed? But there was this total purity of being in this moose. And I think that's what nature can teach us if we let it. And it's about having a relationship with nature, not just to nature. And this might be part of the challenge now. Most of us are so disconnected from nature and natural laws and natural flow that we have succumbed to a mechanistic society, a mechanistic view of things. And one thing, if we talk about frequencies, everything is energy, everything is frequencies, everything has a song. You have a song, your DNA has a song, everything has a song, everything has a certain vibration. That's why you resonate with some people and you feel dissonance with some people. But we need to listen to this whisper in nature. And this disconnection has caused us to accept this mechanical view. And one thing, when I talk about frequency can be a field, a collective field. And there's a collective field, of course, a certain frequency that keeps humanity locked in a certain vibration of fear and worry and whatnot. And one thing that few people realize that is hidden in plain sight, that is infusing most of our lives, at least in the Western society, is something mechanical, something unnatural that has nothing to do with nature and natural cycles. And that's something as common as the clock. The clock. When you're a kid, you have to learn the clock. Back in the old days, there were like different, I don't know what it's called in English, different hands on the clock, and you had to learn that if the long one points to a certain number and the short one points to another number, the clock is this. And this is a mechanical construction. It's a mechanical time, in a way. It has nothing to do with time, really, but it's a machine that dictates our lives, which we usually don't think about. And to compare, okay, I have some questions in the chat. I'm just going to finish this about the clock. The purpose of time, let's pretend for the sake of discussing, the purpose of time is synchronization. The purpose of time is to be synchronized. And if you think about it, the clock, you can say, okay, we meet at 2. And then you have the same mechanical clock that is hopefully synchronized with each other. And then you can know, okay, we meet at 2 when this machine says 2. But the thing is, we are synchronized to a locked mechanical frequency. And children don't have to learn day, night, spring, autumn, winter, summer. That's pretty obvious. Or full moon, or crescent moon, or waning moon. But if the purpose of time in this instance is synchronization, why do we not synchronize with natural time? But of course, it wouldn't work since we're in a very special society. If you want to take a train, you can't just go with the flow, or maybe you could. Or you meet someone when you're supposed to meet them, not just because it is a certain time on the mechanical clock. That's something else. Okay, I'm gonna go into some questions here. You have mentioned Gaia Sophia, a living wisdom source entity in nature. Please tell us more about her. You have mentioned Gaia Sophia as living wisdom source entity in nature. Please tell us more about her. Well, the thing is, I have just, quite recently been introduced to the myth of Gaia Sophia. I realized I have experienced her power and presence like 25 years ago. I didn't know what it was. And I've been communicating with her, even though I didn't know who I was communicating with. And since I'm at the beginning of my understanding of her, I can only say that it is a myth that has struck chords very deep within me. And watching videos about her and her fall to earth, I will make a very short summary of my understanding in a minute. And it makes me emotional. And to me, when I get emotional, it's usually a sign that it is something resonant within me. And forgive me, all you people, if someone is watching this who has very deep and extensive knowledge of Gaia Sophia, but to make a very, very long and beautiful story short, Gaia Sophia is the center of the galaxy. In the center of the galaxy, in the center of every galaxy, there are a certain number of eons, divine couples who create Telete and Sophia. Telete is the male counterpart, and Sophia in this instance is the female counterpart. And this Sophia, they created many versions of humanity. 9 versions that didn't really pan out. And then they created number 10. And she was so in love with this creation that she did something that no eon had done before. She left the galactic core, she left the place of creation, and she followed her creation out into the galaxy, which led to many new experiences, because no eon, no goddess had done this before, because you're not supposed to follow your creation out into the more dense vibratory plane of physical matter. But she did, because out of love and curiosity and responsibility, because it was her creation, and she really wanted Anthropos 10 to be all that she imagined and envisioned it to be. And through her falling, she happened to create, it was like a very intense fall, and she experienced things she had never experienced before. Going from a place where there's no gravity in time and space, it is very fluid, and then you are forced into a denser material realm. And on the way there, she happened to spawn or give birth to other energies, which are called archons, which I won't go into now because I don't know enough. I don't know if I know enough about Gaia Sophia to be talking about it. But eventually, to make a very long and beautiful story short, eventually she became Earth to create a habitat for Anthropos 10. And if someone says, okay, that's not what happened, please correct me in any way, because this is just my own interpretation of all the information I've gained so far. So, in short, the whole planet Earth is the manifested dream of a divine goddess, an eon, from the heart of the galaxy, who followed her creation out into space. So when we are walking on Earth, we are caressing her with every footstep. And when we feel wind against our face, we are meeting her. And when we are in nature, we can speak directly to her. And sometimes she shows herself in what they call organic light. There can be a soft light that doesn't cast any shadow, because the light comes from within everything. And 25 years ago, I was on a mountaintop during a vision quest. And at the end of that vision quest, I was there 3 days. I didn't eat because I wanted a direction in life. Anyway, at the end of that vision quest, for some reason, I found myself compelled to scream, "I accept to be an open channel for Hunab-ku." At the time, I was very much into Mayan cosmology, and Hunab-ku is the name for the center of the galaxy, the heart of the galaxy in Mayan. So I screamed that I accept to be an open channel for Hunab-ku. And then I sat down, meditated, and then when I looked up into the sky, the whole sky was filled with milky white streams. And this was Sweden in the middle of the summer, so I thought it couldn't be Northern Lights. But after, well, through my queen, my divine counterpart, she told me about this organic light, and then I realized that's what I saw. So I took this as a confirmation from Gaia Sophia, from the mystery. I call her the mystery. That I did something important. And then in my books, I've written 2 books, I have described things like how you travel between galaxies and you can surf the solar winds, and how suns are connected to other suns and stars, and there's a network. And I described things I didn't know, but I had them confirmed later. And the thing is, when you accept or play with the idea that Earth is the manifested dream of a timeless eon, a goddess that left the heart of the galaxy to follow her creation out of love, it changes things. And there's also talk about Gaia's correction, because what we were given as humans, Anthropos 10, we were given the ability, besides love and compassion and all those things we have as humans that not all animals have, even if we are a human animal, as some people say. We were given the possibility to learn from our mistakes. And right now, there's some theories about we have compounded many mistakes without correcting them, which is why we are in the situation we are. So Gaia's correction, Sophia Gaia's correction, is about wiping the slate clean and beginning our journey towards Anthropos 11, the next stage of human evolution. And there are 2 paths for humanity: further into the machine, transhumanism and brain chips and whatnot, Neuralinks and whatnot. But it also, we have the possibility to choose another path, closer to nature, in harmony with nature. And it doesn't mean we should all move into the forest and eat berries and things, but it has to do with going back to a more harmonious, natural way of life. So maybe it's not about like divine masculinity or divine femininity. Maybe it's about natural man, natural woman. Also an idea I got from my divine counterpart. Even though I had a course a few years ago for burnt out man that should be called natural man. Thank you for your question. Truly, divine counterpart. And I invite you to look into the myth of Gaia Sophia, the fallen goddess, and talk to her. If you're out in nature, what would you ask? What would you ask? If you knew you could get an answer from a timeless, infinitely wise goddess, what would you ask? Okay, question. Are you talking about the same goddess? You're talking about Gaia Sophia. In several channels, there's talk about Sophia, who is the actual creative force, not the one we call God. Are you talking about the same goddess? You're talking about Gaia Sophia. In several channels, there's talk about a Sophia, who is the actual creative force, not the one we call God. I suppose, I think Sophia and Gaia Sophia, as far as I understand, in this is the same. And there is, of course, a force beyond the eons. There's a force that sends out impulses to the galactic core, which the eons pick up on and create from. So there is an all-encompassing force, but it's, as far as I understand, there's this source that sends out impulses or suggestions, which is picked up by eons in the galactic core, and they're same in every galaxy. And from that, they use their creative power in a mating dance, and they send out this into the arms of the galaxy. So depends on how we define creative force. We could make a symbolic image. If someone makes a cup out of clay, someone makes a cup out of clay, who is the creator? Is it the potter or the one who made the clay? So it's the same here. There is a substance or an impulse that is sent out, and then it is refined through eons. That in a way refines or specifies or makes the creation more precise. Or we can take this analogy to another. If someone makes a chair out of wood, who is the creator? The tree or the carpenter? It's a combined effort, I would say. And the one we call God, if we want to go into God, there's a lot of that's a rabbit hole. That's a rabbit hole to go down into God. And I just watched an interesting episode today with my beloved, and it's really strange to think of it that many of us, or many, perceive God as usually a bearded old man who sits in some heavenly realm and has surveillance on everything and everyone, and you are punished if you don't do it right, because then you go to hell. And basically, if you're born, you are, well, you're effed, by the way. And then you have to spend your whole life aspiring to some inhuman ideal, and then eventually you may go to heaven. And that's why, otherwise you're punished. And but God loves you still. He loves you. And there's a lot of influence in many world religions that I've just become more and more aware of, that needs to be considered, one might say, because it will change our perception, it will change our view on ourselves, it will change how we listen to ourselves, it will change how we remember who we are and what we are capable of, because we have powers beyond our imagination. We are infinite divine beings, and we have yet to access these powers because we are trapped in a frequency lock, in a way. Some call it mind virus. Okay. Together with Mary Magdalene, who is the divine force, that they have been removed from Christianity because they are too strong and powerful. There's a book about the Sophia Code. Together with Mary Magdalene, who is the divine force, that they have been removed from Christianity because they are too strong and powerful. There's a book about the Sophia Code. I didn't know about the book about the Sophia Code, but I mean, to me, I'm not much of a scholar. There was a time in my life when I was starting to search for the truth, and I read, I don't know how many books I studied. I think not every religion, but I studied a lot, and then I started to realize that everything I read was just an interpretation of something, and I didn't really feel any connection to anything, because I felt it was limited. It was something there I didn't. There was something missing, or there was no resonance, or there was empty, or it was just words. And the one philosophy, or the one path I felt most resonance with, was shamanism, since it was directly connected to nature. So I'm not a scholar. I don't study old scrolls, old books to find information. I tend to go straight to my favorite library, which is nature, because I think nature tells us a lot about how things work, natural laws, path of least resistance, purity, being what you truly are, and roots and leaves, and so I leave the scholarly endeavors to other people who are more equipped to it, or maybe more interested in it, and I thank you for doing it. But what happens when we go out into nature and start asking questions? We may be surprised of the answers we get. And I usually get answers, I get answers all the time. And sometimes I get answers I don't really like, which to me is a sign that, okay, this is not me inventing some answer I want to hear. Okay, interesting questions here. By Kayara, it is all the same goddess whose energies are being brought forward again? Question mark. Is it all the same goddess whose energies are being brought forward again? To me, honestly, I have no idea. There are many goddesses, and in Hinduism you have, I don't know how many goddesses. I think there are all aspects of this feminine force. But right now, I may change my mind, because that's evolution, yeah. But right now, I find the notion that Earth is the manifested dream of Gaia Sophia. And then all the other goddesses are manifestations or interpretations of her. That's how I see it right now. And to me, that's maybe not simple, but manageable way of seeing it. Because nature, I've always had this connection with nature. Nature is the place where I become whole, where I get healing, where I get rejuvenation, rest. Because it is, like I said, true. And growing up in Sweden, I also learned cycles, the seasons. And like now, it's winter in Sweden, and everything is slowing down. Everything is sleeping in a way. And this, it taught me to wait. It taught me patience, and also it taught me more and more to listen. Because many times it's in the silence we hear things we don't hear otherwise, because there's so much information, we're overwhelmed with information. And to me, just the fact, I usually, when I go out into the wild, into the cabin, I turn off the phone. And the first time I did it, it was really hard. I turned it off on Friday, and on Saturday I thought, maybe I should turn it on just to check, just to see if something important has happened. But then, okay, I didn't, and then come Sunday, and I really didn't want to turn it on again. So nature, reconnecting with nature, or allowing nature to reconnect with us, is us reconnecting with Gaia Sophia and taking part in her correction. Because we are truly living in the time of prophecies, and we have a choice, and we need to take responsibility. And I've been reluctant to take responsibility for my life, for my creations, because I thought, I'm not that smart, I'm not that wise. How can I take responsibility to be the co-creator of something if I feel I have no clue what I'm doing? So I've been hesitant, but anyway, a week ago or so, took me many years before I dared to say it. So I accept that I am the creator of my life. And the thing is, it seems to be like this, that only when we accept responsibility do we gain access to the power. So by accepting responsibility and to be responsible to co-create this new earth. That's why the community is called ARC, New Earth. ARC, Awaken, Remember, Create. Awaken, remember, create. Because that's what we're doing. We awaken, and then we remember our truth. We remember who we are, what we are. And then we create, we co-create New Earth with Gaia Sophia. That's how I see it. And there are, of course, many ways of seeing things. Two people seeing the same thing, interpret it, of course, according to their own filters and chosen truths and experiences and whatnot. We have many filters. So one might discuss if there is even such a thing as an objective truth. There might be an objective truth, but it's always interpreted through the eyes of the one seeing the objective truth. Mm. There are many books and theories, but important is your own mystical direct experience, resonance or not. Yes, there are many books and theories, Malin. Malin says there are many books and theories, but important is your own mystical direct experience, resonance or not. That is a very good point, and right now I used to call myself a wake-up artist. I used to say I'm a wake-up artist. And now I call myself, like a working definition, working title, experiential mystic. Because the direct experience is what matters. It's the direct experience. And if you feel resonance, if there's resonance, if it feels good, then it's probably right for you at that time. And to take another analogy, if you can read 1,000 books about a strawberry. You can read 1,000 books about a strawberry, but you will never truly understand it or experience it until you eat a strawberry. Or you can read 1,000 books about how it feels to hold someone's hand in yours. But it is beyond description. It is beyond description. So it's the direct experience of the mystery. That's why I see myself as a tantrika, but it's in the more expanded original way. Nowadays, tantra has become associated with only the sexual part because it's repressed. But to me, tantra and to be a tantrika is to truly embrace the mystery and be embraced by the mystery and experience through our senses. And it goes in every drinking coffee is tantra. Gaian planetary tantra. But it's about resonance. And if you watch something that makes you feel bad or worried or less powerful, maybe you shouldn't watch it. And if you eat something that makes you sick, you probably shouldn't eat it. It's the same thing with information. Thank you, divine counterpart. Okay. Mollinger, you suggest surrender is an effective tool in the awakening process. Seems there are different layers and meanings. What is surrendering for you? You suggest surrender is an effective tool in the awakening process. Seems there are different layers and meanings. What is surrendering for you? Well, there seems to be some confusion about surrender, or confusion. I want to present my personal experience with it and why it is such a powerful tool. Surrender is the opposite of giving up. I think many connect surrender with just giving up. Okay, I surrender. I don't give a shit. I surrender. But to me, surrender is courageous curiosity. It is radical acceptance. And I'm going to give you a story about how I first discovered the power of surrender, because surrender is usually about emotions, because I used to believe that if I feel bad, if I have bad emotions, I just need to think positive. I need to think about something else. I should push them away. I should push them away because I must be doing something wrong if I feel bad. I tried that. I tried that for many years. It didn't really work. But then eventually, like 25 years ago, I did a ceremony, an entheogenic journey, and I found myself in a very tight spot. Everything was tight. My body was tight. My skin was tight. My mind was tight. I was feeling trapped. I just wanted to rip the flesh from my bones and to get out. It was pretty challenging at the time, and I tried everything I knew, every technique I had learned through books and whatnot, and meditation and breathing and imagining colors and whatnot, and it didn't work. It just kept getting worse. I was feeling compressed, and eventually I awoke some kind of not fury, but some kind of life force in me. And I even imagined myself being in Guinness Book of World Records. Who has felt worse in the entire world? Sven-Alex. So that was my intention. I said, okay, bring it on. Let's do this. Let's dance, you and I, and just give it to me. Give me your best shot. I stopped fighting the emotion, and I will never forget this because it took maybe a second. I'm not exaggerating here. It took maybe a second, and then it disappeared, and then it sneaked back. It creeped back. This intense feeling of being compressed, and then I did the same. Okay, let's do it again. Come on, give it to me. Give me your best shot. I love it. And then it disappeared again. And that to me was a very clear and obvious sign. It showed me the power of surrender. Because the thing is with emotions, okay, we have time. I talked about this in a video actually. But usually people, there's a notion that if you have a thought, it creates emotions. So if you have a thought, it creates emotions, and then you should think about something else, and then other emotions. But to me, it's right now, it's more in the lines of that one emotion can create thousands of thoughts. To me, I used to be a man who worried all the time. I was worried about this and that, and I thought I was responsible to be worried. But then eventually I was fed up with being worried because I have a very vivid imagination. And if you couple that with worry, I could create some very intense scenarios. But then I was fed up with worrying, so then I applied surrender to worrying. So every time I was worried, I tried to be even more worried. So instead of fighting worry, thinking, okay, it won't happen, I have to think about something else, I try to be even more worried, which may sound ridiculous, but what happens is that you start to chase the feeling, and when you open up to it, it flows through you. When you open up to it, it flows through you, and then eventually all the worry disappeared, and then all the thoughts connected to worry didn't show up. So then I had to replace worry with something, and I replaced it with curiosity. I wonder what's going to happen. Exciting, because I also know that I know everything I need to know in every now. If I just surrender and let go of all the intense planning of what I might be doing in the future. And then there's also a deeper power in surrender. Yeah, this is part of the other video, but I can take it here as well. If you experience in reality a frequency band, for example, worry, if you experience worry, it means that a part of you is living in that frequency band. So when you access worry, and many like, oh, I'm awakening, I'm so awakened, I shouldn't feel worry or I shouldn't feel fear. But the thing is, the more you level up, the higher your vibration, the more all programming is dissonant with you and you want to leave. So when you suddenly find yourself in fear, it's because part of you is still living in that frequency band. It's a fragment of your life force trapped in that frequency band. And when you allow yourself to surrender to fear, if you allow yourself to feel all the fear, when you feel it, it's the old programming that leaves you. And when you surrender all the fear, you retrieve that fragment, you retrieve that piece of life force that was trapped in that frequency band, that emotion. So, and the only way for you to reunite with this fragment is to feel what it feels. Because it has been living in that trap or cage for some time, and then you unlock the cage by feeling the emotion. Then you can reunite with this fragment. And then eventually, when you have visited fear enough times, you have retrieved all the fragments of you that was locked in that frequency band. Maybe play with it, because that's also something that's really important, that we truly need to understand, that we create more. The more we level up, the more our vibration is heightened, the higher we vibrate, the more divine power we gain access to. And the whole earth is, of course, raising vibration. The sun is changing. There's a lot of planetary and solar merging going on, because the sun and earth, of course, are working together, and the sun is receiving information from the central sun and from the galactic core. That's how information is passed. It's through stars and suns. And more and more we create what we think. And then you think, oh shit, I think bad thoughts, I think catastrophic thoughts. But the thing is that thoughts that is not creative and that is not loving, that is not harmonious, have much less power, much less creative power than thoughts that come from love, harmony, source. So it's not too dangerous to have an occasional bad thought or whatever, because the creative power in it is not very influential. But we also need to, like I said in the beginning, we need to take responsibility to what stories we believe in, because when we believe them, we give them our creative power and we give them life and we sustain that reality. And there is a reality now that is it's not self-sustaining, it's mechanical, and it's based upon force. It's based upon force. Force is always met with a counterforce, and force, a reality powered by force, needs to take energy from something else to sustain itself. And the reality powered by, driven by power is infinite. You say the power of love, you don't say the force of love. And power is infinite and self-sustaining. And love is infinite. And I see love as the power that created Earth, is the power that drives creation, it's the power that holds creation together. And Of course, as always, it's just a word, and what we put in it is very personal and individual. But surrender, to sum it up, it's not about giving up. Surrender is letting emotions flow through you, so all programming can leave you. And you can feel hatred, you can feel whatever, but just feel it. Just feel it. You don't have to act on it. And another thing about surrender, if you feel something, don't even name it. You don't have to name it hate, you don't have to name it fear, you don't have to name it worry, you don't have to name it jealousy. Just feel it. Just feel it. Because when you try to really feel, how does it feel? How does it feel? It's like you're tasting something. If you're tasting a drink or a glass of wine or coffee, or liksom, truly, how does it feel? Don't lock it into words. Don't capture it in words. And let things be meaningless sometimes. Because if you let things be meaningless, it's not without meaning, but you release them from the meaning you have given them. If you look at the birch and you allow the birch to be meaningless, you may see it in another way. Some people see it, oh, it's firewood. Some people see it, oh, it's a beautiful tree. Some people see it as something that's standing in the way for the sun or something. We all have different meanings to things, and things only have the meaning, the value we give them. For example, money, paper bills, right now they are worth something, but at least in the movies, after the zombie apocalypse, the only usage we have for paper bills is to make a fire. So things only have the value we give them and we accept. That's a little bit about surrender. And there's also talk about judgment. We shouldn't judge, which is part of going to this new earth. Non-judgment is part of that. And it might be hard to say, well, I need to judge. But you don't need to judge, because judgment is based on some moral view of right and wrong that's inside you. If you judge something as wrong, or judge something as bad, it is based on your notion of what is good or bad. But we evaluate all the time. Evaluation is part of being alive. Evaluation is, okay, should I swim across this river? Or is it too rapid? Is the coffee warm or cold? Is it cold outside? Should I put more firewood on the fire? We evaluate all the time, and that's also something we truly need to be to excel in, to evaluate it. Is this I don't like to use the word good, and I don't like to use the word bad, but is this generative? Is this natural? Is this degenerative? Is this unnatural? Is this mechanic? Does this make me, does this remind me of my infinite powers? Does this make me feel expansion? Does this make me happy? Does this feel good in my body? And if it doesn't, you should probably avoid it. Because choice is becoming more and more. Okay, another question. Malin, divine counterpart. What is this new earth we are here to co-create? And how can we tap into and manifest the new earth? What is this new earth we're here to co-create? And how can we tap into and manifest the new earth? Well, New Earth is the name of the community, Arc New Earth. And I've asked the mystery about this. Okay, because I'm curious. Okay, what is, how is it going to be? How, yeah, tell me about the future. How is it going to be? And I get the same answer every time. First, it's an open-ended story. It's an open-ended story. There's no limited script, or it's an open-ended story. And the analogy, I get the metaphor, is the caterpillar and the butterfly. The caterpillar have no idea, probably, what it is to be a butterfly. But there comes a time, the caterpillar feels, oh, it's time to go into a cocoon. It probably doesn't know why, it just feels it's time. So it goes into a cocoon, and the cells of the caterpillar is resisting this a bit, or so I have heard. And then eventually it's a transmutation, and eventually a butterfly comes out of this cocoon. And awakening entails usually a cocoon state when you're disconnected from everything. I've been through it several times, and you are disconnected from everything, and it's a good sign. So this new earth, of course, Gaia Sophia is involved, it's a Gaia's correction, and Anthropos 11, humanity is going from this limited, locked reality in which we are told that we are flawed and we need something from outside to help us. If it is medicine or information or some divine intervention, which of course Gaia Sophia could be interpreted as a divine intervention, but we are told that we are flawed and we need something to make us perfect. But what if we are perfect? What if we are here to remember our divinity? And this new earth, just imagine, just envision an earth where, well, freedom, co-creation, love, respect. But to me, I must be honest. I don't must be honest, but I want to be honest. The fact that there are no problems to solve, there is no enemy, there is no hidden agenda, there are no forces dictating or directing our lives, there's no world government. We're all living together as one species, and we are helping each other and co-creating, and we don't really have any problems to solve, besides maybe making a fire or eating and I have experienced this something similar during we have live gatherings in this Ark New Earth, and when we gather, it's we don't have any agenda, we don't have any fixed program. We meet and we see what wants to be created, and everybody is seen, everybody can be themselves, everybody can be who they are, and amazing things happen when we take all the energy we used to pretend, to adapt, to put up masks, to all that energy is freed to heal ourselves, heal our bodies. And it's amazing what takes place. It's almost miraculous what happens when you can just relax and be yourself. And you're seen from what you are. And you're not only seen, you're cherished and loved for what you are. not only respected, not only tolerated, but cherished and appreciated. So New Earth, we can't see it because also it is beyond the horizon of our imagination even. But in our lifetime, we will most probably experience it. And things are moving rapidly now. The coming years, just next year, this year, 2026, it's going to be intense, and it's going to be more and more ludicrous, because it's going to be the things that are going to happen are going to be so strange that it's going to be like watching a movie, because it can't be happening. And it is in a way happening, but also it is not, because there are many illusions. An illusion is not something that doesn't exist. An illusion still exists, but the problem, the limitation, is when we believe that is the only thing that exists. So if we see the illusion, we can also see something else. We can interpret it in any other way, or simply disregard it. Stop being distracted. Greg Braden talks about all these things in the world, the news and everything. It's just distractions, luring us to give our energy into hating something, or be frustrated about something, or fight something. So we give away our divine creative power, and we sustain a crumbling reality. So New Earth, it's coming, and as I see it, we're doing it with Gaia Sophia, Gaia's correction. We're part of it, and reconnect with nature, with this divine wisdom goddess, because we are nature. This body is made of nature, so we can't say we're not part of it, because we're living inside a part of this goddess. Okay, I will end now my very first live in English, and I don't remember what I've said, but thank you for being part of this. I will do this now and then, and as always, I don't plan anything. I see what comes, and thank you for asking really interesting questions, because questions opens a flow. And remember that you have a direct connection to this infinite well of wisdom, and you will always know what you need to know in every now, if you dare to surrender to it. Okay, with love, I truly wish you all the best, and remember that you are truly unique. You are a miracle in motion, and you have a unique tone to play in this beautiful symphony of love that grows on earth. There's a place that is only yours, and your truth is the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to creation, to earth. And if you feel resonance, please, you're really welcome to join the community arc New Earth. A tranquil place, eye of the storm. Okay. Until next time, see you soon.